Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're doing really well in this moment, and that whenever and wherever you are in the moment in time in which you are listening to this recording, that you are happy and you are healthy. And if you are still going through Mercury retrograde, that you are able to navigate the waters of Mercury retrograde really well. Remember to take deep breaths. Remember to cleanse your mind, cleanse your mental body, your emotional body, and your aura. Line up your chakras. Just do extra breaths. 5 minutes extra of yoga in the morning. Something to calm yourself. Okay, so Mercury retrograde 2020 began on February 16th, which is yesterday, at 12 degrees Pisces, and it will end March 9th at 28 degrees Aquarius. Mercury retrograde is generally associated with communication and technological breakdowns, nervous tension, travel delays, and lost items. Mercury retrograde February 2020 has an especially challenging influence on communications because it is square the moon. An inner conflict between your thoughts and feelings might lead to anxiety, indecision, moodiness, and parochialism. Is that a threat? You might go to parochial school? What is parochialism? I went to Catholic school and they called it parochial school. That's as far as my knowledge of this word goes. More details about Mercury retrograde February 2020, is on astrologyking.com. So you'll be able to see more about that. Now, over the weekend, I watched a Wages World video on YouTube. Wages is spelled W-A-G-E-S. Wages World. Now, if you look at his thing, okay, a couple things. First of all, there was a coronal mass ejection that came out of the sun, even though there's no sunspots. It came out when Mercury went, I don't know, he says it's something to do with Mercury. And that's when Mercury went retrograde. And I'm like, oh my God. Ding, ding, ding. Light bulb going off over my head. Not that it's functioning because it's Mercury retrograde. So that, and then the other thing was over the weekend, there was a spiral that showed up on the Schumann Resonance, on disclosurenews.it. Usually they only count the white spikes and they kind of ignore the green ones and the red ones and the yellow ones. They can't explain it. They don't know what it is. They call it background interference because they don't know what to say about it. Nobody knows what the hell it is. It's just one of those weird mysteries. And there's been like a dotted line and a dashed line. There's some really strange things. So go to Wages World and check it out. He does a detailed, in-depth analysis of this, and you can see the visual of it. But that spiral is weird. It's like a portal of some sort opening up. And all this stuff occurred about the time that Mercury went retrograde. So what the hell? Very weird stuff. The solar wind speed is pretty slow. It's 387.5 kilometers per second right now. We are on day 15 without sunspots. And if you want to go to spaceweather.com, you will see an incredibly beautiful aurora surprise, they call it. They said no sunspots, no solar flares, no gust of solar wind. In short, there's absolutely no reason to expect an outburst of auroras on February 17th. And then this happened, and they showed this. It looks like a scene out of Frozen, and it's this glorious, just, I don't even know how to describe this color. It's like a pale blue mixed with a mint green and white with little bits of golden butter yellow around the edges. It looks like angel wings. It just looks like a scene out of Frozen. It's like an angel came down with enormous wings as big as the atmosphere and just landed on the planet. And then in the background behind that, it's like a cobalt blue sky with stars and clouds. It's absolutely incredible. Seriously, this is like a picture I would put up I would have it framed, blown up, and put on my wall. It's so beautiful. Alexander Kuznetsov, he photographed this from Finland. He says, surprise auroras strike big. At one point, they went pink and moved very fast. I also saw a fast corona unfolding above me, and it reminded me of an angel. And he wasn't expecting anything because he says the solar wind speed was low, and he didn't take his snowshoes. And then the show began, he said. Currently, there's over a meter of snow in Kilpisjärvi, and so he had to crawl through heavy snow terrain without his snowshoes to get the best viewing spot. And they said, where did the auroras come from then? A crack opened up in Earth's magnetic field, and solar wind poured in to fuel the display, and there was not even a solar storm required. I don't know about that. Is it solar wind really, or is it quite possibly just cosmic radiation? Oulu neutron counts say that the cosmic radiation is very high. We're right now within 1 degree of the space age average, the all-time high space age. We're like 1 point away from beating that. There are polar stratospheric clouds. There's some beautiful rainbow clouds taken of the upper atmosphere when the ice is trapped way, way, way up, and then it's refracted by the sun. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's these beautiful, it looks like almost like rainbow birds flying across the sky. It's very strange. It's eerie. So solar wind did flow though today from the coronal hole, and so expect that we will be grazed on February 20th. We will have more auroras to look out for, as well as cosmic radiation mixed with solar winds on Thursday. My son and I have a cooking class that day. We're going to go learn how to make jambalaya. Yay! So we were only grazed with 5 fireballs above the United States today, according to the NASA Fireball Network. I think that's all we have to say from spaceweather.com. Trying to catch up with all the stuff going on. Let's see. I think on Friday I was reporting to you guys about the coronavirus, and it was like 18% of the people are dying and 82 are recovering. But as more numbers come in, it looks like only 16% are dying and a lot more recovering now. So keep your thoughts and your prayers, sending them over to China. Send extra over to Japan, because they are having, they've had 1 or 2 extra cases. And then that cruise ship off the coast, I think, is of Japan, the Diamond Princess cruise ship, is absolutely, they never, ever should have disembarked, and they went over to Asia, and they knew better. They got quarantined because somebody ended up with the virus, and 454 people aboard that ship have it right now, and 19 are in critical condition. That's like the cruise ship from hell. That is like the worst. So absolutely crazy that that's happening, right? They were told they were not going to get their money back. They just either have to not go and lose their money or go. And so everyone went and took their chances. And 454 people now are sick and in quarantine. And I think they're docked just outside of Japan. And it's like, I would be like, no, I wanted to see the cherry blossoms. wanted to see Mount Fuji. Oh, I definitely want to see Tokyo. I definitely want to eat ramen, authentic ramen. When they're like ramen shamans. Do you guys know that? Did you ever see the movie Ramen? I think it's called Ramen Girl or something. And it's with Brittany Murphy, God rest her soul. It was one of the last movies she made, and she was just stuck. Her boyfriend dumped her the minute she got to Japan. She misread the situation, and she was naive, and it was just ridiculous. But she ended up learning how to make ramen the right way, when you put the positive emotions into it to lift people's spirits. So it's more like a shaman thing than just a noodles thing. They're like shaman ramens or ramen shamans. And it's like I've been enamored with it ever since I saw that movie. Someday I really want to go to Japan, and I'm hitting the charts, by the way, in Japan. So I started thinking about Japan today and all the things I want to learn about the culture there someday. I've been really getting into the idea of someday going to the Forbidden City and learning martial arts, and also going to South Korea as well. I've got some good friends over in South Korea that I met in Peru a couple years back. So I've been like really thinking about, I really want to go to Asia at some point, but not now. You guys heal the virus first. Then we can all go visit Asia together. I definitely want to hit Thailand as well. So I want to go to the Philippines, but I don't think I can, because you have to have someone over there that you know that invites you. Isn't that crazy? And I don't have an invite, so I can't get to the Philippines. You could go there and you sit in the airport, and if you don't have an invite, they won't let you in. They'll send you back to wherever you came from. So, yeah, I think definitely Asia's on my list. It's like I can't wait to go there. But I'm still on the charts in France as well, so I wanted to say thank you to all of you that are listening to the show. So, all right. Schumann Resonance News from disclosurenews.it. At 9:30 in the morning, they said today's new chart shows slight activity increased from 3 UTC when the values exceeded power 10 to reach power 14 around 6 UTC. The quality chart above shows values above 20. And then at 1700, they said only a small movement and power 15 reached shortly after 5 local time, or 10 a.m. UTC, and then it was followed by calm. So like nothing going on except 14. It's like that's nothing. But when you look at the chart itself, there's a lot more background noise and activity going on than what they're reporting. That really bizarre. You could see that. You could just see it. It's like stripes. There's red and green energies. There's like these strange like turquoise stripes, because the background of the Schumann Resonance usually is like a cobalt blue. It's really, really strange. It's a strange chart. You read it from the top down. It's really hard to understand. So going over to HeartMath, where they start from the bottom up, like most charts in the world, it makes a lot more sense. It's less pretty, but it's more sensical to me. We start off with California at midnight today. 46 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale. By 5 a.m., they were at 45. So not a whole lot of movement there, but still significant, still within the realms of the fifth dimension, supposedly. Hafuf, Saudi Arabia, they're just back down to zero, just zeroing it out from midnight to 5. And from February, around, I don't know, let's see, look, February 15th at 6 o'clock in the morning, they started at 0, and they haven't stopped since then. So Lithuania started off at 97 hertz frequency at midnight, and they went at 5 a.m. to 101 hertz frequency. So that's really significant. Alberta, Canada started off at 59 hertz frequency at midnight. By 5 a.m. they were at 57 hertz frequency, still within the fifth dimensional realm. Northland, New Zealand started off at 54 hertz frequency at midnight. By 5 a.m., they were at 59 hertz frequency. So, again, within that realm. And Honolulu, South Africa, this is the one who's always been the winner lately. They were at 204 hertz frequency at midnight. They're steadily climbing up. By 5 a.m., they hit 236 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale. I just looked right there, and it was 1444. Oh my gosh. I love it when we get those 444s, when you get those nice round numbers there. All right, lesson 235. Is this where we were? Did I go to a new one? Yes, this is a new one. Okay. We are going over A Course in Miracles. We want to keep our vibrations raised high. And in order to do that, we read something that is of high vibration, as well as listening to high vibrational music, or music that makes you want to just get up and you feel the joy within you and you dance around. Anything that brings you love. You want to just keep going, raising your vibration as high as possible every day. The days you feel anxiety, today I had a really bad anxiety attack earlier. Had a conversation with my son. We talked it out and I felt better afterwards, but boy, it was a really gnarly one. It was like, it just like wasn't, it like grabbed a hold of me and wouldn't let go. And I know that moodiness with Pisces, with the Mercury retrograde, it's all affecting me. I feel it. And I'm just like, ugh, you know. So with that energy, we have to raise our vibrations. And how do we do that? But to read something like A Course in Miracles, which we're about to do right now. So the Foundation for Inner Peace is found at acim.org, and you may also go to any app on any Play Store, the Google Play Store, the iPlay Store, iPlay, is it iTunes Store? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I don't have Apple. I can't afford Apple products right now. I can barely afford an Apple. I'm kidding. I can afford one Apple. Anyway, go to your Google Play Store, whatever it is, your Android store, whatever it's called. You get an ACIM app for absolutely free. A Course in Miracles is what that stands for. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Lesson 235 says, God, in His mercy, wills that I be saved. God, in His mercy, wills that I be saved. God in His mercy wills that I be saved. I need but look upon all things that seem to hurt me, and with perfect certainty assure myself, God wills that I be saved from this, and merely watch them disappear. I need but keep in mind my Father's will for me is only happiness, to find that only happiness has come to me. And I need but remember that God's love surrounds His Son and keeps His sinlessness forever perfect, to be sure that I am saved and safe forever in His arms. I am the Son He loves, and I am saved because God in His mercy wills it so. Father, your holiness is mine. Your love created me and made my sinlessness forever part of you. I have no guilt nor sin in me, for there is none in you. God in His mercy wills that I be saved. Well, you guys, I really could have used these thoughts earlier today, so I will try it right now. You guys should try it right now too. Think about something that you're afraid of that might be in your future. Maybe it's an upcoming exam. Maybe you're dreading going to court. Maybe you have, I'm facing empty nest syndrome. and alone. I should be facing it with my husband, but he died 10 years ago. I'm facing this alone. It's a terrifying thought. And, even though I want my kids to be well-adjusted and free to be who they want to be, wherever they want to be, that I'm still like, I'm dreading. I'm dreading that day, and I'm still like, oh, I think about being in the airport and hugging my son goodbye and getting on a bus by myself, coming home. Will it feel like home without my kids? Probably not. My home is where my kids are. So do I hop on a plane with them and go to San Francisco? And I don't know. I'm not going to move back home. I don't know. We'll find out come October where my heart will lie and what my higher guidance says. Right now, my higher guidance says stay here in Ecuador. But we'll see. I don't even know, right? So I'm facing that. So that's something I'm facing. But what are some of the things you're facing that you have coming up? Do you have exams? Do you have to talk to your boss? Do you have a presentation to do? Do you have something to do with your career? Do you have finals or any kind of test coming up? Probably not, because it's not time for that. If I'm looking at the year of the typical university you guys just started, but maybe you have midterms coming up. So if there's anything that you dread, travel during Mercury retrograde, that's good enough, right? Is there anything that you are like, ugh, I want you to think about it, and I'm going to do this with you right now, or you think about it. And then you say, God wills that I be saved from this. Yeah, did you guys feel the clearing of the energy? I sure did. Maybe there's something happening right now in your life. It's not something in the future. We'll try it again. We'll do another one. So, I think that my computer's being hacked. It just did a little glitch. And earlier I heard a beep. And my son looked into it, and it looked like someone in Los Angeles is listening in. He traced it. So I have to do something with my computer, right? So I'm looking at this going, I don't want anyone to spy on me. I'm literally doing nothing with my computer, but they're spying on me. So I'm going to say this. So whatever it is that if you're going through right now, today, something that you don't like, it might be maybe you're extra bloated right now. Maybe you have a headache because we've been having some weird headache energy. Maybe you're afraid of the ascension, and you don't need to be afraid of it. Or maybe you're afraid of not ascending. Or maybe there's something going on. Maybe you're fighting with somebody, or there's a little bit of begrudgery between you and somebody else. Whatever you have right now, today, what's going on right now, this week, today, yesterday, focus on it for a minute. Get it firmly in your mind, what's going on. And then say, God wills that I be saved from this. I felt another energy shift, did you? But there's no traffic outside suddenly. I felt an absolute quiet. That means an angel's passing overhead. Now, think about something in your past that's been dragging you down energetically, that's been bothering you. Something someone said, something someone did, something someone should have done but didn't do, something that where you made a mistake, a decision that was some kind of a decision or a mistake that you made that you regret because it hurt somebody else. I want you to think about that. One of those, pick one of those. You could just save this for all of them, or you could put them in a basket. Just imagine a basket, put all those things. If you have more than one, just put them all in, pile them in there. And then look at that basket and say, God wills that I be saved from this. Poof. Watch it disappear. From now on, for all your problems, I want to do this. I want you guys to do this too. Try it. You can say the universe. You don't want to say God. Don't say God. You want to say Goddess. Say Goddess. If you want to say something that's going to be more emotionally secure for you, go ahead. I'm not telling you how to believe in a higher power. Just that if you do believe in a higher power and you want to try this, you could say, my higher self wills that I be saved from this. The universe wills that I be saved from this. My higher guidance wills that I be saved from this. However you want to believe. But for me, I say God just because it's what it says here in the lesson, and it's how I connect. Prime Creator wills that I be saved from this. God wills that I be saved from this. Allah wills that I be saved from this. Jah, Ra, Yahweh, Jehovah wills that I be saved from this. It doesn't matter what name you give to God, because you know what your name for God is. Divine Mother wills that I be saved from this. And oh my stars, the energy shifts. Watch it as it disappears in a heartbeat. By the time you're done saying the word this, it's poof, boop, just popped right on out. Gone, gone, gone. So anyway, I'm gonna take a quick break and go check on my spaghetti sauce, which my son and I are working on cooking. We found some avena and linaza pasta. In Spanish, that literally means oatmeal, and linaza, it's those seeds. Oh, they have all the omegas. They have 3, 6, and 9 omega fatty acids in them. They're like linaza. What is it? Linseed oil. It comes from, they're not called linseeds, they are, but flax seeds. That's what they are. So it's flaxseed oil or flax seeds and oatmeal and oats pasta in its whole grain. It looked really amazing. And so I'm going to put my homemade spaghetti sauce I made from scratch on that with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. So that's our dinner tonight. I'm excited. Earlier, my son came home with these, I call them meteors. I don't think they call them that ever anywhere in the whole history of Colombia, but I've always called them meteors because I was always really high in Colombia. Like, I want to eat those potato meteors. Where's the meteors? They look like meteors. I saw an advertisement. It looks like a meteor falling to Earth, and it was one of these things. So that's where I got the idea. But they're called like a ballon, or like a balloon or a ball, and they're like freshly shredded and cooked chicken inside of a mashed potato ball, and then that's deep fried. It is freaking amazing. It is one of the most amazing things you'll ever eat. It's like comfort food to go. And in Peru, they changed it a little. They have the same kind of thing, but in Peru, you'll find inside the chicken, but also 1 quail egg and 1 raisin, which is super confusing. Everything that has a raisin in it in Peru always confused me, because there's only 1 raisin. And you're like, where did the raisin come from? Did they mean to do that, or did it just fall off a shelf into this and they just didn't care or didn't notice? Why is there only 1 raisin? There's only 1 raisin in like everything, and it's like so confusing. If there's 5 or 6 raisins, then hey, it's supposed to be there. It's like, oh my God. So I don't know, but that was a weird thought I had this weekend, was about that, and then my son brought me, these things. He's like, oh, he's a friend from Colombia, and she has a little stand outside the mall. And he's like, oh, I had to bring these for us. And then for dessert, we had this really strange, it's a fried plantain, and inside is homemade cheese, and it's very rubbery cheese. It's very mild cheese, and it's white. It's like boiled milk cheese. And it's almost like what they have over in India, but it's a little bit harder. And it's a Colombian cheese, and they make it. It's not fermented. It's not like 30 days old. It's like she probably made it over the course of 2 days or something. And then that was fried. So it's cheese inside of plantains, which are like specialized. I mean, they're just another form of banana, basically. It's a kind that you can fry, that you shouldn't ever eat raw. You should always fry them. And they're fried, and then that has like a light coating on it. And it was so good. With her homemade guacamole, which is amazing. And her homemade, and they don't put sour cream at all in the guacamole. There's no dairy in it here. It's just straight up avocados and garlic. And then she has her ají sauce, which is like really, really spicy, but very flavorful orange sauce. It's orange with little peppers in it, like green and red peppers. Oh my God, it's good. The food here is strange and it's interesting, and it's really good though. It's Colombian food has like a weirdness to it. It's weird and it's comforting all at once. It's weird because you're like, whoa, that's so, I've never seen anything like that. And then you eat it and it's like, it might not be the best thing you've ever had, but it's comforting when you eat it, at least for me. I think I have a past life in Colombia. My son says he's like, I'm sure I have a past life in South America, probably in Colombia and maybe also in Ecuador, but mostly Colombia. There's something about Colombia. It's like, it's where your heart beats. You go there and you realize, oh, my heart is beating and is beating from Colombia. That's how I felt when I got there. You know, and I come to Ecuador and I feel like my balance, my harmony is here somehow. So when I get a little bit imbalanced, it gets to be a big imbalance for like a couple hours. It's like, if I get angry, I'll get like, not that my anger only lasts like a couple minutes here, but when I have like, today I have a panic attack, I had anxiety, and that's part of this Mercury retrograde, and it was enormous. It was like, it felt like I have to go get a pill. I need to go find a pill. I need to call my drug dealer. Oh shit, I lost his number. It was like kind of a panic. You know, I know he can help me get the pills. I know it. I just need a Xanax, just one. And then all of a sudden, you know, my son and I had to talk about it, and then I was able to let it go. And Ecuador is a land of balance and harmony, and you're always going to find a solution here. It's like weird. It's what I feel anyway when I'm here. Like in Los Angeles, I felt you're always going to find a solution to cover up, you know. It's not a solution, it's more of a cover up. You know, you could cover up whatever you need, you know. You know, like a 10-year-old covers up a hot dog with ketchup. You're going to cover up those emotions with a pill in Los Angeles. That's how I was when I was there. At least how I felt, like, oh, it's time for another anxiety pill. Woohoo. One in the morning, one at night. You know, and now here, since I've lived here, I've hardly ever needed Xanax. It's like, I don't know, maybe 10 days. And I've been here 2.5 years. And I used to take it twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, for years and years. So, I don't know, this is a place of balance and harmony, so I'm grateful for that. But anyway, yeah, this Mercury retrograde, it's hitting me hard. It's hitting me hard. And on the 23rd is the new moon, so that's coming up this week. I think it's the 23rd. When we get more close to that, I will talk a little bit more about that. In case you guys are following the Fred and Ethel news, if you like hearing about the pigeons outside my window, I have named them Fred and Ethel Mertz, as you know, and I feed them by hand. They land on my hand and eat from my hand now. Grateful that they're eating from me and simultaneously pecking at me and slapping me with their wings at the same time. It's hilarious, but they do love me. But I heard the little baby. They have another baby, a third baby. I was like, oh my God. I went over there and I went to look at the third baby, and it was the third and fourth baby. They're twins, pale gray, like dove gray. They're adorable, and they were quickly ushered inside when I saw them. They're not ready for the world. They're not ready to be seen yet. Ethel doesn't want them outside the house yet. They don't know how to fly yet. So the other bird that I thought I heard that I thought was the baby, it turned out it was just a skinny random pigeon that they couldn't get out of their home. He landed on the wrong stoop, and they finally got him out of there. But we've been feeding them high quality food. We feed them the linazas, the flax seeds, and we also feed them. That's probably what the problem is. They keep breeding more and more and more because we're giving them high quality protein and omegas. But we gave them sesame seeds today. That's called ajonjoli in Spanish. And so we gave them the ajonjoli. I always love that word because it sounds like I'm saying unholy. What are you going to eat today? Unholy? What? It's so strange. But yeah, it's been a weird weekend. It went really super, super fast. I wanted to ask you guys if you want to get back to me on this. Did you feel it? Did you feel how it just went like in a flash, like it was nothing? A couple people from around different parts of the world told me, yeah, it was like so fast. It was like, I need 2 extra days. The weekend was so freaking fast. Like, I think it was like last weekend, I felt like I had so much time. I was so leisurely. This weekend went by in a heartbeat. It was so annoying. It's like, I wanted more time. But I did bake oatmeal cookies. I perfected a recipe. And I have found like a really perfect recipe, but I had to do 7 different things to adjust it for the altitude, because we're at 8,400 feet above sea level, and it's like you've got to do a lot of things to adjust a recipe. I had no idea. But our cookies have been coming out really skinny, really thin and weird, like, so we had to adjust, and I'm cooking with a uneven fire stove, so it's like strange. But I figured it out, and I have really, really good oatmeal cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies with walnuts in them. And I love the walnuts, so I was happy that I at least perfected one recipe. And we're going to start a cookie business. We've decided we're going to start a route and deliver cookies to different restaurants around town. And we're going to come up with 3 or 4 kinds, because they don't have cookies here like they do in the US. You can't just go buy a dozen chocolate chip cookies here. You can't just go buy a dozen peanut butter cookies here. You can't just go buy oatmeal raisin cookies here. So starting soon, after Mercury goes direct, we've decided we're going to make cookies available. So we're pretty excited about that. We thought this is an easy way we could probably make enough money to stay. So we've been already focusing on our solutions for money and for everything. And if you're having money issues, remember, God wills that I be saved from this. If you have money issues, that's the thing to say. And over the weekend, somebody donated money, so I was really grateful for that. If you feel like you wish to donate money to keep my show on the air and keep me going, because I'm now being pulled away from the show quite a bit to do other things to make money. And if I could only, make the donations, once in a while, but also the listeners. Listening costs you nothing but time, and I get paid every time you listen, right? Because I've got my sponsors. Well, only the one, but anyway, it does help me. And so every little bit helps. And so if you just want to spread the word by telling other people, that'd be great too. But I did get a donation over the weekend, and someone wrote me from California and said, that's it. I'm tired of living in the US. I can't take another day. And I'm going to come in a couple months, and he's going to pay me to take him all over Ecuador. I'm so excited. I can't wait for this, because I love this idea. So I might start that as a business after I go around with him. And I've known him for years, but why not? I would love to do that, because I speak Spanish enough to get around, and I'm comfortable with the people here enough to get around and figure out things and negotiate deals on things. And so I had a twist of luck, and it was good. It was a good one this weekend. And now retrograde. Mercury. Gotta love it. Anyway, so I know that everything will turn out good for me, and I know everything will turn out good for you. If you have any problems with your health, let's say it one more time. God wills that I be saved from this. God in His mercy wills that I be saved. There you go. Anyway, there you have it. I'm going to go for a moment. When I come back, we have another week of the Spirits book by Allan Kardec. As you know, this was published in April 1857 in the delightfully beautiful city of Paris, France, by Allan Kardec. You could go watch the movie about him. Kardec is the name, Kardec. That is in it's on Netflix now, so it's really awesome. I think Yeah, I think you guys will love the movie. It's really, really good. And it's a little creepy and it's a little tension. It's good. It's a good movie. Anyway, when we come back, I'm going to take a quick break, but I'm going to start with question 779 under the heading March of Progress. So this one sounds interesting. We'll see right when we come back. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, when I asked my higher self about this book, I was given the number 92% is accurate. I used a pendulum, I used muscle testing, I asked on different days, and that's always what I've gotten. 92% is of this information that I'm about to read you is accurate. So now this section might be 100% accurate or 80% accurate, but like I said last week, if this was, a paper in high school, they'd be getting an A. If it's paper in my university, it'd be a B, but it's not a C paper or worse. This is a good book with a lot of good information. The spirits had good information. Now, his method is that he went and he talked to 5 different mediums in 4 different parts of the city of Paris, and they did not know each other. And the spirits kept telling him the same information. So his conclusion is that the mediums were real, and that the spirits in the spirit realm all know what's going on. I don't think he came to the conclusion, though, that they were his spirits that were, following him around and getting annoyed more and more the more they went, just to have the same question asked of them. So some of the answers are snarky, and I kind of get the feeling that's why he already asked us this question, Like, I think they get a little upset, a little snarky, and they would say, we already told you that. And I love that he left that in the book. Like, he didn't take that snarky sarcasticness out of the book. He didn't go, well, that's a little rude, but let's just leave that out. No, he was honest. And he put all that in. And he would ask a question, then he'll ask a different question in a different way, and they'll be like, it's the same as the other thing. We already told you, like, hello. It's just, they get kind of annoyed. But I think that the spirits are in sympathy with him. they're at the same level or vibration as him, or maybe a little bit more, and they're his guides and whatnot. And so they're giving him the answers that they know from their ability to know. And so some of the stuff they've said, I'm like, I don't know. And I ask my higher guidance and I get a different answer. So, it's just, it is what it is. And he attracted who he attracted because of who he was. But for the most part, today, in our modern era, this is 92% accurate according to my higher guidance. So we'll see what happens tonight. This section is called the March of Progress. So here we go. Question 779. Does man contain in himself the force that impels him onward in the path of progress? Or is his progress only the product of instruction? And the spirits say, man is developed of himself naturally, but all men do not progress at the same rate, nor in the same manner, and it is thus that most advances are made to help forward the others through social contact. Question 780. Does moral progress always follow intellectual progress? The spirits say it is a consequence of the latter, but does not always follow it immediately. And he asks a follow-up question. How can intellectual progress lead to moral progress? The spirits say, by making man comprehend good and evil, he can then choose between them. The development of free will follows the development of the intelligence and increases the responsibility of human action. Follow-up question. How comes it then that the most enlightened nations are often the most perverted? What? Really? That sounds kind of odd, right? Does that sound odd to your ear too? Look how how comes it then that the most enlightened nations are often the most perverted? The spirits say, complete and integral progress is the aim of existence, but nations, like individuals, only leach it step by step. Until the moral sense is developed in them, they may even employ their intelligence in doing evil. Moral sense and intellect are two forces which only arrive at equilibrium in the long run. Okay. Question 781. Has man the power of arresting the march of progress? And the spirits say no, but he has sometimes that of hindering it. Follow-up question. What is to be thought of the men who attempt to arrest the march of progress and to make the human race go backwards? And the spirits say, they are wretched weaklings whom God will chastise. They will be overthrown by the torrent they have tried to arrest. Wretched weaklings. I don't know. Do you guys find that hilarious? They're like calling names. Like the spirits from beyond the grave are calling people wretched weaklings for halting progress. That's kind of funny. So Allan Kardec, he added his own 2 cents here. He says, progress being a condition of human nature, it is not in the power of anyone to prevent it. It is a living force that bad laws may hamper but not stifle. When these laws become incompatible with progress, progress breaks them down with all those who attempt to hold them up, and it will continue to do so until man has brought his laws into harmony with the divine justice which wills the good of all and the abolition of all laws that are made for the strong and against the weak. So cool. All right. Good. All right. Question 782. Are there not men who honestly obstruct progress while believing themselves to be helping it forward? Because judging the matter from their own point of view, they often regard as progress what is not really such? And the spirits say yes. There are persons who push their little pebbles under the great wheel, but they will not keep it from going on. I like these spirits have a sense of humor and they're very colorful. I love that. Question 783. Does the improvement of the human race always proceed by slow progression? And the spirits say, there is the regular slow progress that inevitably results from the force of things, but when a people does not advance quickly enough, God also prepares for it from time to time a physical or moral shock that hastens its transformation. Oh, that's what I've been saying, right? On Fridays? That's why there's snow. There's avalanches killing people in Afghanistan. That's a shock, right? Because they don't normally have snow like that, like avalanches. That's crazy, right? I think they normally do get snow, but not like that. That's nuts, right? And it's shocking people around the world just to see it like below zero, 40 below in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's not normal. You know, more in the south sometimes in the mountains in the higher regions, but not for Riyadh, not this cold, not this snow. It's crazy. And all this stuff. I mean, the fires in Australia and the volcanoes and the earthquakes, which they've been 6.2s all over the place lately, but it's been really strange. I just feel like that God is preparing us for transformation. Wow, and the Spirit said that 163 years ago too. Man. All right, what Allan Kardec said regarding this, he says, man cannot remain perpetually in ignorance because he must reach the goal marked out for him by providence. He is gradually enlightened by the force of things. Moral revolutions, like social revolutions, are prepared little by little in the ideas of a people. They go on germinating for centuries and at length suddenly burst forth, overthrowing the crumbling edifice of the past, which is no longer in harmony with the new wants and new aspirations of the day. Man often perceives in these public commotions only the momentary disorder and confusion that affect him in his material interests. But he who raises his thoughts above his own personality admires the providential working which brings good out of evil. Such commotions are the tempest and the storm that purify the atmosphere after having disturbed it. So, question 784. Man's perversity is very great. Does he not seem to be going back instead of advancing, at least as regards morality? And they say, the spirits say, you are mistaken. Take a look at the human race as a whole, and you will see that it is advancing, for it has arrived at a clearer perception of what is evil, and every day witnesses the reform of some abuse. The excess of evil is required to show you the necessity of good and of reforms. So, question 785. What is the greatest obstacle to progress? And the spirits say, pride and selfishness. I refer to moral progress, for intellectual progress is always going on, and would even seem at the first glance to give redoubled activity to those vices by developing ambition and the love of riches, which, however, in their turn, stimulate man to the researches that enlighten his mind. For it is thus that all things are linked together in the moral world as in the physical world, and that good is brought even out of evil. But this state of things will only last for a time and will change as men become aware of that, beyond the circle of terrestrial enjoyments, there is happiness infinitely greater and infinitely more lasting. And Allan Kardec, he added his 2 cents to that one. He says, there are 2 kinds of progress that mutually aid one another and yet do not proceed side by side: intellectual progress and moral progress. Among civilized peoples, the first is receiving at the present day abundant encouragement. Oh, yeah, okay, so 162 years ago, yeah, think about that. Intellectual progress, there was a lot of books being written then. People were becoming more enlightened, intellectually speaking. And it has accordingly reached a degree of advancement unknown to past ages. Yes, I agree with that. The second is very far from having reached the same point. Although, if we compare the social usages of periods separated by a few centuries, we are compelled to admit that progress has also been made in this direction. Why then should the ascensional movement stop short of the region of morality any more than of intelligence? Why should there not be as great a difference between the morality of the 19th and the 24th centuries as between the 14th and the 19th? To doubt of the continuity of moral progress would be to assume that either the human race reached the summit of perfection, which would be absurd, or that it is not morally perfectible, which is disproved by experience. Okay, degenerate peoples. Oh, has it come to this? We're already reading about degenerates. Woohoo! Degenerates. Homer Simpson comes to mind for some reason. I don't know why. That just kind of... I forgot that I had read that last week as a topic title or heading. I did not expect that right now. Degenerate peoples. Question 786. History shows us many peoples who, after having been subjected to shocks that have overthrown their nationality, have relapsed into barbarism. Really? Is that true, guys? I'm going to have to think about that for a minute because I don't think that's absolutely true. Anyway, he says, what progress has there been made in such cases? And the spirits say, when your house threatens to fall about your ears, you pull it down in order to build another stronger, more commodious. Is the key word in the word commodious commotion or odious? Commodious. Do you guys know this word? I think they mean like more accommodating, but commodious. What? Maybe it was from commodieux, maybe in French. I know a lot of you in France are listening to this. What is the word that was originally... Remember, this is from French to Portuguese to English, what I'm reading. So every now and again, there's a wild word I've never heard of. Okay, we'll read that again. When your house threatens to fall about your ears, you pull it down in order to build another strong and more commodious. But until the ladder is built, there's trouble and confusion in your dwelling. No shite, Sherlock. Okay. Comprehend this also. You are poor and live in a hovel. You become rich and quite the hovel to live in a palace. Oh, I'm sorry. Quit. Sorry. Duh. So you become rich and quit the hovel to live in a palace. Then comes a poor devil, such as you formerly were, and takes possession of the hovel you have quitted. And he is a gainer by the move, for he was previously altogether without shelter. Learn from this that the spirits now incarnated in the people that you call degenerate are not those who composed the people in the time of its splendor. Those spirits, being of advanced degree, have gone to reside in nobler habitations and have progressed, while others less advanced have taken their vacated places, which they too will vacate in their turn. So, question 787. Are there not races that by their nature are incapable of progress? Whoa, what a racist question, dude. Are there races that by their nature are incapable of progress? Oh my God. And wow, and the spirits say, yes, but they are day by day becoming annihilated corporeally. Oh my F God. OMFG. That. Do y'all see all kinds of wrong in this question and in the answer? What the hell? All right, follow-up question. What will be the future fate of the souls that animate those races? And the spirits say they, like all others, will arrive at perfection by passing through other existences. God deprives no one of the general heritage. Okay. Which is good. That's good. Okay. And the follow-up question, another follow-up question to that, is the most civilized man may then have been savages and cannibals? And the spirits say, you yourself have been such much more than once before becoming what you are now. Fine Young Cannibals. That band comes to mind in this moment. Is it a past life memory that led them to the discovery of that name, or... Question 788. The various peoples are collective individualities that pass like individuals through infancy, manhood, and decrepitude. Does not this truth, attested by history, seem to imply that the most advanced peoples of the century will have their decline and their end like those of antiquity? And the spirits say, those peoples that only live the life of the body, those whose greatness is founded only upon physical force and territorial extension, are born, grow, and die, because the strength of a people becomes exhausted like that of a man. Those whose selfish laws are opposed to the progress of enlightenment and of charity die, because light kills darkness and charity kills selfishness. But there is for nations as for individuals the life of the soul, and those whose laws are in harmony with the eternal laws of the Creator will continue to live and will be the guiding torch of the other nations. Question 789. Will progress ultimately unite all the peoples of the earth into a single nation? And the spirits say, no, not a single nation. That is impossible because the diversities of climate give rise to diversities of habits and of needs that constitute diverse nationalities, each of which will always need laws appropriate to his special needs and habits. But charity knows nothing of latitudes and makes no distinction between the various shades of human color, and when the law of God shall be everywhere the basis of human law, the law of charity will be practiced between nation and nation as between man and man, and all will then live in peace and happiness because no one will attempt to wrong his neighbor or to live at his expense. Well, that's good, right? They didn't foresee the European Union, did they? Or Brexit. Sorry, Brits. Oh, Brexit. Why? I'm sad about that. I know it hurt a lot of people. Hurt some of my friends. My British friends who had a restaurant in France. Ugh. Now what do they do, you know? Okay. I'm sorry. They were French, had a restaurant in England. They have to move back to France, I guess. Crazy. All right. So, here it is. The human race progresses. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Allan Kardec. He adds his own thoughts on this. He says, the human race progresses through the progress of individuals who gradually become enlightened and improved, and who, when they constitute a majority, obtain the upper hand and draw the rest forward. Men of genius arise from time to time and give an impulse to the work of advancement, and men having authority, instruments of God, effect in the course of a few years what the race left to itself would have taken several centuries to accomplish. The progress of nations renders still more evident the justice of reincarnation. Through the efforts of its best men, a nation is made to advance intellectually and morally, and the nation thus advanced is happier both in this world and in the next. But during its slow passage through successive centuries, thousands of its people have died every day. What will be the fate of those who have thus fallen on the way? Does their relative inferiority deprive them of the happiness reserved for those who came later? Or will their happiness always be proportioned to that inferiority? The divine justice could not permit so palpable an injustice. Through the plurality of existences, the same degree of happiness is obtainable by all, for no one is excluded from the heritage of progress. Those who have lived in a period of barbarism come back in a period of civilization among the same people or among another one, and all are thus enabled to profit by the ascensional movement of the various nations of the earth, from the benefits of which movement they are excluded by the theory which assumes that there is only a single life for each individual. Another difficulty presented by the theory referred to may be conveniently examined in this place. According to that theory, the soul is crested at the same time as the body, so that as some men are more advanced than others, it follows that God creates for some men souls more advanced than the souls he creates for other men. But why this favoritism? How can one man who has lived no longer than another man, often not so long, have merited to be thus endowed with a soul of a quality superior to that of a soul which has been given that to another man? But the theory of the unity of existence presents a still graver difficulty. A nation in the course of 1,000 years passes from barbarism to civilization. If all men lived 1,000 years, we could understand that in this period they would have the time to progress. But many die every day at all ages, and the people of the earth are incessantly renewed, so that every day we see them appear and disappear. Thus, at the end of 1,000 years, no trace remains in any country of those who were living in it but 1,000 years before. The nation, from the state of barbarism in which it was, has become civilized, but what is it that has thus progressed? Is it the people who were formerly barbarian, but they died long ago? Is it the newcomers? But if the soul is created at the same time with the body, it follows that their souls were not in existence during the period of barbarism, and we should therefore be compelled to admit that the efforts made to civilize a people have the power net to work out the improvement of souls that are created imperfect, but to make God create souls of a better quality than these which he created 1,000 years before. Let us compare this theory of progress with the one now given by spirits. The souls that come into a nation in its period of civilization have had their infancy like all the others. They have lived already and have brought with them the advancement resulting from progress previously made. They come into it, attracted by a state of things with which they are in sympathy, and which is suited to their present degree of advancement, so that the effect of the efforts to civilize a people is not to cause the future creation of souls of a better quality, but to attract to that people souls that have already progressed, whether they have lived already among that people or whether they have lived elsewhere. And the progress accomplished by each people, when thus explained, furnishes also the key to progress of the human race in its entirety, by showing that when all the peoples of the earth shall have reached the same level of moral advancement, the earth will be the resort of good spirits only, who will live together in fraternal union, and all the bad spirits who infest it, and all the bad spirits who flow infest it, finding themselves out of place among the others and repelled by them, will go away, and will seek in lower worlds the surroundings that suit them, until they have rendered themselves worthy of coming back into our transformed and happier world. The theory commonly received leads also to this other consequence, vis-a-vis, that the labor of social amelioration is profitable only to present and future generations. Its result is null for the generations of the past, who made the mistake of coming into the world too soon, and who have to get on as they can, weighted as they are through the faults of their barbaric epoch. According to the doctrine now set forth by spirits, the progress accomplished by later generations is equally beneficial to the generations that preceded them, and who are living upon the earth under improved conditions, and thus enabled to improve themselves in the focus of civilization. Okay, now it doesn't make sense, but at the end of that, in parentheses, it says 222. I'm taking that as an angel number. And you should too. Get it too. Okay. It's like so much more than 2 cents. It was like his $2 worth right there. Okay, on to the next question. Now we are in the part called civilization. Question 790. Is civilization a progress, or, according to some philosophers, a decadence of the human race? And the spirits say, a progress, but incomplete. Mankind does not pass suddenly from infancy to the age of reason. And follow-up question, is it reasonable to condemn civilization? And the spirits say, you should condemn those who misuse it, rather than condemn the work of God. Ooh. Okay, 791. Will civilization be eventually purified so that the evils caused by it will disappear? The spirits say, yes, when man's moral nature shall be as fully developed as his intelligence. The fruit cannot come before the flower. cool. Question 792. Why does not civilization produce at once all the good it is capable of producing? The spirits say, because men are not as yet either ready or disposed to obtain that good. And the follow-up question, may it not be also because in creating new wants, it excites new passions? The spirits say, yes, and because all the faculties of a spirit do not progress together, everything takes time. You cannot expect perfect fruit from a civilization that is still incomplete. What is up with the spirits and fruit? Are they hungry? Okay, question 793. By what signs shall we know when a civilization has reached its apogee? I know I'm saying this word wrong. Apogee. A-P-O-G-E-E. I've seen this and I've read it silently to myself and never out loud. So this word, I don't know. How do we know when we've reached its civilization reached its apogee? Spirits say, you will know it by its moral development. You believe yourselves to be considerably advanced because you have made great discoveries and wonderful inventions, because you are better lodged and better clothed than the savages. Again with that. But you will only have the right to call yourselves quote unquote civilized when you have banished from your society the vices that dishonor it. So like never? And when you live among yourselves like brothers, practicing Christian charity. Again, with a Christian only thing. Okay, until then, you are merely enlightened nations, having traversed only the first phase of civilization. Again, remember what I said in the beginning? My higher guidance said that this is 92% accurate. Like, seriously, like, if you're Jewish, it's not a civilization worth... Come on, that's ridiculous. Or Muslim, or, spiritual, not religious. Like, come on. This is, like, ridiculous. What's the practicing Christian charity? Like, Jesus himself was not a Christian, dude. That just irritates me. All right. Moving right along, Allan Kardec adds his dollar's worth here. He says, civilization has its degrees like everything else. An incomplete civilization is a state of transition which engenders special evils unknown to the primitive state, but it nonetheless constitutes a natural and necessary progress which brings with it the remedy for the evils it occasions. In proportion as civilization becomes perfected, it puts an end to the ills it has engendered, and these ills disappear altogether with the advance of moral progress. Of two nations which have reached the summit of the social scale, that one may be called the most advanced, in which is found the smallest amount of selfishness, cupidity. Does he mean stupidity? Cupidity, like the little angel that comes around on not New Year's, damn it, on Valentine's Day. Cupidity. Why does it say cupidity, guys? All right. Anyway, of two nations which have reached the summit of social scale, that one may be called the most advanced, in which is found the smallest amounts of selfishness, stupidity, and pride, in which the habits are more moral and intellectual than material, in which intelligence can develop itself most freely, in which there is greatest amount of kindness, good faith, and reciprocal benevolence and generosity, in which the prejudices of caste and birth are the least rooted, for those prejudices are incompatible with a true love of the neighbor, in which tree laws sanction no privilege. Tree laws? It literally, oh my God, what are these words? Tree, T-R-E-E? Why would they say tree laws? Sanction no privilege. Maybe it means these laws and it's a typo. Tres laws in French would be very laws? I don't know. No, that doesn't make sense. You guys, your guess is as good as mine, because I told you it says French to Portuguese to English, and then there's also typos. So, in which the laws sanction no privilege and are the same for the lowest as for the highest, in which justice is administered with the least amount of partiality, in which the weak always finds support against the strong, in which human life, beliefs, and opinions are most respected, in which there is a smallest number of the poor and the unhappy, and finally, in which every man who is willing to work is always sure of the necessaries of life. And of course, that means like necessities in English. And I think they just kept it from French, the nécessaires, something like that. If I'm wrong, let me know. If you're in France listening, a lot of people in France are listening to the Allan Kardec episodes. So, A, thank you, and B, help me with my French, please. So, yeah, I don't know. While I was reading this, something came up to my mind, and it's this. 163 years ago, we didn't have the neutron bomb, the atom bomb, or the hydrogen bomb. World War I had not taken place. World War II had not taken place. So, I don't know. I mean, the quote-unquote civilizations, the quote-unquote like advanced and enlightened nations, it feels a little cringeworthy to me, looking back 163 years on this stuff, on this book and what his ideas, and I'm sure he was imagining and thinking that Paris was an enlightened city, and for that time it was. And I'm sure he was thinking it was only going to get better from there, that only savages that don't know better wage war. But what was to come in his future, not even in his personal future, but in the future. I mean, France suffered greatly in those wars, and I don't know. Everyone, the whole world suffered greatly in these wars. And some of these wars have left long-lasting marks, and I just feel like, yeah, but how great can our society or civilization be if we are marching forward and progressing forward as a civilization, becoming more and more enlightened, and then boom, the wars? Are we better than that now? The 1940s? Are we? I hope we are. I'd like to say yes, sure, of course we are, but I don't know. And then when you think of all the quote-unquote savage civilizations, or, what they keep referring to, I mean, I don't know exactly what they're referring to. It sounds like they're referring to, like, the one island nation of people that were eating each other. And then that's, like, their example of all savage nations. But people that are native in all, manner of countries, there's, like, the indigenous people everywhere, they're not waging massive war against the rest of society and civilization, and they're not unenlightened then, in my opinion. I feel like waging war is very unenlightened, and I feel like the indigenous people who just kind of live and let live are, in many ways, at least to my mind, quite a bit more enlightened than those who quote-unquote advance, quote-unquote progress, quote-unquote increase civilization, as it were. And by doing so, they're using sweatshop labors. By doing so, they're creating wars. By doing so, they're digging out the precious lifeblood of Mother Earth in the form of oil, and creating cars to use the oil to increase, for gasoline, to increase the carbon emissions and all the crap that's going on. And as Jude Decoff told me, he says, I have a feeling that was when they take the oil out, it heats up the ground, and it's making more rumblings in the earthquake situation, in the volcano situation. It's making things worse. in ways that we cannot begin to imagine. It must be worse than just the air quality and the greenhouse effect. Is that progress for real? Is that civilization for real? I don't know. Again, remember, the spirits are in sympathy with him. And they also did not have the knowledge yet of the future, like where we are now. 163 years later, picking up the pieces of some failed things that were blights upon humanity, as it were. At least the way I look at it. I'm sure most of you look at it the same way. Is it progress when we're bombing our neighbors? No. It's just like going back to caveman days, just with better sticks and bigger rocks. With bigger, worse, long-lasting effects. That affected the whole world, by the way. I mean, when you look at a city like Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, they have the highest crime rate right now. The highest murder rate is in the city of brotherly love. That is a metaphor for a lot of the crap we've been going through. And a lot of love to Philadelphia. I hope that they can work that out, that they can get better, that they can actually get back to the idea and energy of brotherly love. I mean, this whole situation, this whole conversation tonight is just kind of getting under my skin a little bit, because we are in the process of advancing all of humanity, and yet there's still some things we need to address. The only way that we as light workers, we as ascending humans, we as enlightened or becoming enlightened people, advancing spiritually as we are, the only way we can really help that is to just send love and light, just send love, just send love, just send love. Pray for rain in the places where there's drought and fire. Pray for sunshine in the places where there's too much snow and too much flooding. And I don't know, pray for rain in the case of locusts. Okay, pesticides, no. Just, I don't know what to do about the locusts. I just don't. It's like a biblical act of God. Like there's nothing else. I don't know. So anyway, if you are a religion other than the religion of Christianity, if that offended you, please just take it with a grain of salt. You know, the spirits that we're talking through, Allan Kardec, they were all Christians, and that's where they were when they died. You know what I mean? Like, so hopefully that won't, be offensive to you. And if you are Christian, then obviously definitely not offensive to you. But, those of us who just don't really follow a religion religiously, it's kind of like, really? That's not our religion. It's not my religion. So it's like, really? It's not the end-all, be-all, greatest religion ever, because so many wars have been fought in the name of Christianity, especially the Catholic Church. So, I mean, doesn't get more evil than that, using the good name of God to destroy God's creations. Just my opinion, but if you don't believe me, ask Moses. Thou shalt not kill to me means thou shalt not kill. Did I stutter? No, I didn't. Thou shalt not kill. Wars are killing. This whole thing bugs me, this whole thing. Anyway, let's just move on. We're going to read the last section for the night. Okay, progress of human legislation. Question 794. Would the laws of nature be sufficient for the regulation of human society without the help of human laws? And the answer, the spirits give, if the laws of nature were properly understood, and if men were willing to practice them, they would be sufficient. But society has its exigencies. I don't know how to say it. Exigencies, maybe, and requires the cooperation of special laws. In question 795, what is the cause of the instability of human laws? And the spirits say, in times of barbarism, the laws were made by the strongest, who framed them to their own advantage. It has therefore become necessary to modify them, as men have acquired a clearer comprehension of justice. Human laws will become more stable in proportion as they approach the standard of true justice. That is to say, in proportion as they are made for all and become identified with natural law. And Allan Kardec says, civilization has created for man new wants, and these wants are relative to the social state he has made for himself. He has found it necessary to regulate by human laws the rights and duties appertaining to the state, but influenced by his passions, he has often created rights and duties that are merely imaginary, that are contrary to natural law, and that every nation effaces from its code in proportion as it progresses. Natural law is immutable and the same for all. Human law is variable and progressive. It alone could consecrate in the infancy of human societies the right of the strongest. Question 796. Is not the severity of penal legislation a necessity in the present state of society? And spirits say, a depraved state of society requires severe laws, but your laws unhappily aim rather at punishing wrongdoing when done than at drawing up the fountainhead of wrongdoing. It is only education that can reform mankind. When that is done, you will no longer require laws of the same severity. That might be true, but they also don't take into account hormonal imbalance, or, why do people create negative stuff like, there's hormonal imbalances, there's brain anomalies, there's all kinds of stuff goes wrong with people, that create, it's not just about a lack of education. I think it's something to do with the GMOs in our food now, pollution in our air and water. Here I go again, right? There's a lot more to it than what they're making up, but our society is more complex and complicated than it was 163 years ago. It was plenty complex back then as well. All right, question 797. How can the reform of human laws be brought about? The spirits say, it will be brought about by the force of things and by the influence of the men of greater advancement who lead the world onward in the path of progress. It has already reformed many abuses, and it will reform many more. Wait. Cool. All right, I'm going to see how much longer the rest of this section is, the next section. Oh, it's kind of big. Let's get into maybe one of these questions. Let's see. Influence on Spiritism on progress. Question 798. Will Spiritism become the general belief, or will its acceptance remain confined to the few? And the spirits say, it will certainly become the general belief and will mark a new era in the history of the human race, because it belongs to the natural order of things, and because the time has come for it to be ranked among the branches of human knowledge. It will nevertheless have to withstand a good many violent attacks that will be prompted rather by interest than by conviction. For you must not lose sight of the fact that there are persons whose interest is to combat this belief, some from self-conceit, others from worldly considerations. But its opponents, finding themselves in a decreasing minority, will at length be obliged to rally to the general opinion, on pain of rendering themselves ridiculous. Good. Although they rendered themselves ridiculous when they did the book burning. Can't have no learning, gotta have a book burning. I mean, the Catholic Church, it's like they're so upset about a book. A person can have more than one book on the shelf. It doesn't have to be only a Bible and nothing more, right? Anyway, ridiculous. Ridiculous, that's the word. So Allan Kardec, he adds his own thoughts here. He says, ideas are only transformed in the long run, never suddenly. Erroneous ideas become weakened in the course of successive generations and finish by disappearing little by little with those who professed them and who are replaced by other individuals imbued with new ideas, as is the case in regard to political principles. Look at paganism. There is certainly no one in our day who professes the religious ideas of pagan times. Fastest growing religion in Italy right now. Strega. Witchcraft. Paganism. Anyway, so it says, and yet for several centuries after the advent of Christianity, they left traces that could only be effaced by the complete renovation of the races who held them. It will be the same with Spiritism. It will make considerable progress, but there will remain, during 2 or 3 generations, a leaven of incredulity that only time will be able to destroy. Nevertheless, its progress will be more rapid than that of Christianity, because it is Christianity itself that opens the road for it and furnishes its basis and support. Christianity had to destroy. Spiritism has only to build up. Right? Anyway, sorry about the pagan thing. A lot of pagans exist to this day. One of my favorite t-shirts I saw a guy wearing once had Stonehenge on it, and it says, "Give me that old-time religion." Witchcraft is growing in the United States. It's probably more popular now than ever. Strega in Italy, like all over Europe, witchcraft is growing. All over Central and South America, Islam is growing. Christianity is on its way out. Spiritism is getting a foothold, though, especially in South America. As far as metaphysics, spirituality, it's starting, especially in Peru. A lot of very, very big spiritual movements in Lima, which is where it's really needed. But, yeah. So, we're going to read one more question, and then we're going to quit for the night. Quit while we're ahead. Question 799. In what way can Spiritism contribute to progress? The spirits say, by destroying materialism, which is one of the sores of society, and thus making men understand where their true interest lies. The future life being no longer veiled by doubt, men will understand more clearly that they can ensure the happiness of their future by their action in the present life. By destroying the prejudices of sects, S-E-C-T-S, castes, and colors, it teaches men the large solidarity that will one day unite them as brothers. Hear, hear. I love that. That's a good place to stop right there. We are all brothers and sisters and equals in the eyes of the Lord or Prime Creator or God or whatever you want to say. Nature, Gaia, we are all equal, right? So there we have it. Another reading of the Spirit's book. I am on page 324 out of 429, so we still got a long ways to go. We're on question 800. There's about 1,000 questions, so we have about 200 questions to go. This is going to take a big chunk of the year. I mean, I'm thinking 2 or 3 more months, maybe. But we'll see. We'll do our best to get through it. So, well, that's it, guys. I want to say thank you for listening to the show, for being loyal, and for liking, subscribing, favoriting, forwarding, sharing with others. Sharing is caring. Thank you for those of you who are sharing with your lists and your Facebook groups and your friends and your neighbors who are becoming spiritually awakened. It's happening all over the place. We need to get the word out to the show so that we can help other people. I want to be here for everybody, not just a chosen few. I want to help as many people as possible. And through your efforts, I am able to do that. So word of mouth is the best way to get the word out. So I want to thank you for those of you who are doing that. Thank you. I love you guys. I love each and every one of you. And I will be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. And tomorrow it'll be something to do with relationships, because we're still in the love month. We have 2 more weeks of relationship talk on Tuesday. So that's it. That's all I got to say about that for tonight. I'm very late getting this out, so got to get it out right now. I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much. So I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy 5th dimension. Until next time, guys. Peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.